and I'm really, really delighted because we've got a really exciting guest on this week. We have a sex worker called Nikita on with us to discuss the Nordic model and what's been going on in terms of their campaign work. So, Nikita, how are things with you?
All right. A bit stressed out about this amendment that Diana Johnson is trying to push through in the policing bill. But I mean, it is a weird time for everyone, aren't they? So
Yeah,
that's as fine as you can be. How about you?
yeah. So, Nikita, could you tell us a little bit about your experiences as a sex worker and, you know, how you got into it? And yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I kind of left full-time education as a teenager, got to 18, and was trying to find work, but it was just impossible in 2012. Was just kept applying for like bar work or waitressing and everything. And I live in London, and there should have been work available, but it just wasn't because the economy was crap, basically. Sorry, I don't know how to swear. So yeah, and then I've also got some like disabilities that make a 9 to 5 more difficult. And it just sort of became apparent that if I wanted to make money in a way where I wouldn't get sacked because I had to take time off work, or I'd be able to make my own schedule, and if I wasn't feeling great I wouldn't have to work. I ended up just being like, okay, I'm gonna go into porn and I'm gonna go and start doing sex work. So I did porn for a couple of years, and I've been escorting the whole time. So this was, oh my god, 9 years ago. So yeah, I've been like escorting since then, and it's been like doing it less over the last year because of the pandemic. But yeah, that's my source of income. That's been my work for my entire adult life, I guess.
Yeah, and in the UK we have over 72,000 sex workers, and those who identify as sex workers. How would you say it's different to things out in America? Because I know that that's where the porn things are out there.
Do you mean the porn industry or just sort of general?
Yeah, the porn industry.
Oh yeah, it's dodgy. There are like, it's a bit of a minefield, especially when you're going into it as like a young person. There are like these kind of like quite dodgy gatekeepers. The industry is a lot smaller, and even like the legit companies are like not really legit. So yeah, it's much less of an industry here. It's more sort of amateurish, and because it's so amateur and because it's so blurry, you have basically no working rights whatsoever. Yeah. And you're kind of at the mercy of these generally older men who are acting as gatekeepers towards the industry, and it's just really, really tricky to navigate. And there's also like, it's constantly under attack as well. So I did glamour modeling when I was younger, and it was early 2015, I think, the No More Page 3 campaign sort of came to a head. And it's just like, yeah, this constant attack where feminists are going, we don't want you. You're not the kind of worker we want. You're bad for women. And you're having this like you're being attacked from all sides, basically. You're struggling with the antagonistic relationship you have with managers or the people employing you as a worker, but then you're also having these like outside attacks from people who are supposedly meant to be your allies, supposed to be your sisters. So yeah, it's difficult. I can't say I know too much about the actual porn industry in America. Just it seems a bit more legit than here.
Yeah, I thought so as well, because I've done some research on the porn industry in the US. So yeah, that's why I wanted to find out from you like what your experiences of sex work are in the UK. So thank you for clarifying for me as well. So let's go on to the nitty-gritty stuff, my love, and let's talk about the Nordic model. So what, in your own words, what is the Nordic model, and how does it impact sex workers, please?
So the Nordic model, as a concept, it's supposedly meant to be quite simple, where you criminalize the client and you decriminalize the worker. And its proponents say that, you know, this makes the workers safe. It means they can report to the police when something happens, and it, you know, punishes the pimps, it punishes the clients. But in reality, what happens is, in order to find the people breaking the law, the police latch onto the sex workers. So in Sweden, you've got police rummaging through sex workers' bins. You've got them sat outside sex workers' houses. In Ireland recently, I think barely a couple of weeks ago, the Gardaí came into a property and like confiscated condoms, because the stated aim of the Nordic model is to make it untenable to do sex work, and it, you know, to make it impossible and difficult because they want you to leave it. And there's a claim that they offer exit services, but these services are often, like, migrants are often frozen out of them. They're usually run by religious organizations who some people do not want to engage with. And it's just, it creates this like buyer's market where the clients are aware that you have reduced demand, which is, we've seen this in practice over the last year, because there are so many fewer clients because of COVID. We've seen what happens when, you know, you reduce demand in the UK, and it's horrible, and we've all had to scramble together and, you know, create mutual aid funds and like really look after each other, because the state isn't looking after it. So yeah, so you have this reduced demand where, and then as we're seeing, and like I've seen in my inbox, pretty much every sex worker I know has seen clients chancing it because they know you're desperate, and they know that there are so, you know, it's probably gone down by about 90%, the amount of booking requests I'm getting. And it, you know, it's probably more for other people as well. So yeah, this reduced demand makes clients, you know, they were absolutely delighted in on the message boards in like Ireland and stuff, when they found out the law was coming in, because they're like, cool, okay, we can get services that they would say no to before because they're desperate. See, I've lost my train of thought of it. I'm gonna like quickly check my notes. So there's, yeah, and it's in its conception as well, it was marketed to people in Norway as there are visible sex workers in Norway working outdoors. A lot of them are like migrants. A lot of them are coming from West Africa. And the way it was marketed to gain consent for it was, look at these un-Norwegian women, and they're so visible, and we can get rid of them because of this law. And the police have taken that as license to harass Black women and trans women and anyone they perceive could be a sex worker. So it's just incredibly grim.
Yeah, that is absolutely shocking what I've just heard there. You know, solidarity to all of you out there, to be honest. That is really disturbing. So in terms of you know, we've obviously had this police bill come out now. How has the police bill affected sex workers? Could you go into that a bit for us, please?
So as a general thing, without the amendment, which we're going to get into, it's the, you know, it criminalizes sort of certain aspects of just being in public, which, like I was saying before, like an attack stance on sex workers is their visibility. And it also is not really getting discussed quite that much, but it makes it difficult for people who have already been arrested and have already been incarcerated. It makes it more difficult for them to get out. And it also gives people who are in custody fewer rights, which is surprisingly not getting mentioned. And also the attacks on the GRT community. There are a lot of sex workers who are in the GRT community who are going to be attacked even more by the government. And then we have sort of Diana Johnson, who is introducing a Nordic model, or trying to introduce a Nordic model amendment, which it kind of makes sense, where, you know, I've touched on the Nordic model having quite a racist conception and this bill being quite racist. It kind of makes sense that she would piggyback on that. And it's sort of a bit disturbing, actually, because we've had a whole summer of Black people being visible and being vocal and saying, this is how the police treat us, this is unequal, we are being targeted. And Diana Johnson goes, I know what sex workers need, many of whom are Black. They need more police. They need more violent policing against them, which is just kind of like, when you think about it, you're like, what? But let's see what I've got here. Yeah, so she's trying to introduce the Nordic model on top of the police and crime bill.
Yeah. So in terms of what Diana Johnson has done, could you go into her amendment a bit so we could know what her amendment is, just for our audience, that some people may not know what she's been up to?
Oh yeah, so back in December, I believe it was, she had tabled I believe they're called, it's like a 10-minute something, trying to sneak the Nordic model in on its own. And that got voted through. There weren't many MPs in the room, it just sort of got voted through because people don't bother to turn up to these things.
Yeah.
And that got shelved in the end of January. So she has vocalized that she wants the Nordic model to be part of this policing and crime bill. I can't remember exactly word for word, but she was saying, that just adding on a thing that it should be illegal to pay for sex. And she kind of went in on advertising websites, just directories that normal escorts put their post an ad on, and that's how we work. Independent escorts use these and they rely on these. And she seems to have gone in on that quite a lot in what she was saying. And she calls them pimping websites, when these websites are, like, obviously they're big businesses. We have an antagonistic relationship with the people who own them because they're profiting from it. But they are also a way of not having to have to deal with pimps and not have to deal with managers, because we're able to get our own bookings. And for some reason, she singled these out as a thing to rally against, even though we've seen, I think it was 3 years ago in America, they introduced an act called Foster Sester, which bans these websites, pimping websites. And what that has resulted in is workers either having to work outdoors, where there's a supply of clients, or having to go under management, have to go under pimps, and doing exactly the thing that the bill says that it's against, because it gives away sex workers autonomy. And this is a thing that Diana Johnson is really quite keen on doing. So that's part of it, but in general she wants to criminalize clients. And I don't think she's even mentioned decriminalizing workers, which we're not decriminalized right now. It's still illegal for me and a friend to work in the same building, or in the same premises, however loosely that's defined. It's all punitive. It's not about protecting sex workers, it's about punishing clients.
Yeah. So how does it impact sex workers if the clients are punished for trying to get a sex worker?
So like I mentioned before, the police zone in on us, and they use us to get to clients, and that's often a bit of a Trojan horse for immigration stuff.
Yeah.
So I've been 6 years ago, I got raided by the police because I was working from home. And it's usually a front to either find people they can dob into immigration, or take money because they're allowed to keep a decent amount of the money that they get from us when they steal it. You've got that aspect of it. You also have the clients, having a buyer's market. And as a result of it, I can't remember if I said this, but when Ireland introduced it, violent crime against sex workers actually nearly doubled, went up by 92%, because the clients know that the workers are not going to be involved with the police if they can help it, because the transaction is half criminalized and they don't get away with it. And it means less money for people because there are fewer clients. Like we've seen, it's sort of naturally happened over this last year, and we are really struggling with the fallout from it. And this is also why it's very frustrating that Diana Johnson has tried to inflict this on us twice, because she knows that, sex workers are scrambling, we're desperate, we're stressed out, we're all trying to look after each other. And it's like, okay, well, let's attack you legally twice, which is very frustrating. And maybe I'm being cynical with it, saying it's deliberate, but it just seems like it's really knocking us when we're already down.
Yeah. And can I just ask, has there been any engagement with Diana and sex workers? Has she actually approached any sex worker, from your knowledge, to ask them what's going on?
As far as I know, she has not approached any of us. I'm probably getting her mixed up with another MP, because I remember it was kind of two of them in December, but there was definitely one who was saying, I've listened to sex workers and I don't agree with them, because this rallying call we have is listen to sex workers, and she's like, yeah, I did, but I don't want to. So as far as I know, she's not engaged with us, and if she has wholesale rejected what we have to say.
Bless you. And can let's move on to the great part, which the sex workers have done. So could you tell us about your campaign that you've recently launched, and let us know how we can help?
So we have this open letter that Decrim now have published a few days ago, I think 4 or 5 days ago. And it's pretty incredible when you think about all the people who've got involved. I don't think I've seen this array of organizations before, all in one letter. So we've got Amnesty International, Liberty, Stonewall, Sisters Uncut, GMB, UVW, and Momentum signed on today, I think. And it's really, and then there's loads of academics, there's FKA Twigs. It's pretty astonishing, and definitely please give the letter a read if you can, because it's so comprehensive. All the stuff that I've not been able to get out right now it's all on there. And we would love it if you could email your MP about this as well. My MP is absolutely rubbish with sex work stuff, but I'm still emailing because it's good for them to know that their constituents support sex workers, and they,
So you want us to write to our MPs, and even if they're useless, we must continue to write to them. And is in terms of where you hope for this to go. So my understanding is that sex workers are now currently trying to fight for workers' rights as well. So does that come in the form of joining a union, or let us know how that comes about?
So we're trying to make connections with existing unions and also having our own union. It's all about, we're all workers, we all have these similar relationships to capital and to bosses, and we should all be working together, basically. We've made some good inroads with unions, and also we're also campaigning for full decriminalization as well. So the legal system right now is quite murky. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been raided because I had the temerity to work with another person for safety. We're trying to get rid of these brothel keeping laws, and working outdoors is still illegal, and we're trying to get rid of that, because it doesn't help anyone to criminalize people for working outdoors, because they get fined and then they have to you're generally working outdoors because you don't have many other options. And then in order to make the money to pay off your fine, you just got to go and work outside even more, and then you just get snowballed. So there are these like just silly punitive things that we're trying to get rid of as well. And yeah, ultimately just take a harm reduction approach, strengthen workers' rights like they have in New Zealand, where you're able to have recourse against managers, you're able to have recourse against punters. And yeah, I think that's that.
So in terms of, you know, moving forward from the letter and stuff like that, you obviously want to achieve your the sex workers' rights and stuff. Is there anything else that you guys want to achieve as well out of this?
Well, we'd love for this police and crime bill to be stopped. We don't want it to happen. So there's another day of action against it on the 17th. And ultimately, I think as sex worker activists, we're harm reductionists. So it's not just making sure that sex workers are safe while in the industry. We also want people to not be forced into it as well. So general, you know, left-wing principles, I guess, making sure, you know, trying to strengthen the welfare state, trying to make work as accessible as possible, make sure that disabled people and migrants are treated fairly and able to work and able to make a living, like things like a living wage. These are all things that will keep people out of sex work if they don't want to be there. And these are all like vital, and it's all part of a, you know, holistic, this one massive thing that we're trying to do, which is not have women in danger or not have people in danger in the sex industry.
Thank you. And I guess, you know, like I said in the beginning, there are 72,000 sex workers here. So this impacts quite a large number of people. And if this bill does not get stopped, then this is leading sex workers, you know, to do this illegally, which ends up with them in prison. And, you know, anyway, so wouldn't it be better for the bill to actually support sex workers rather than, you know, criminalizing them?
You think so? A point I think I might have forgotten to make is so like I was saying earlier, the Nordic model ostensibly decriminalizes the worker, but in Ireland more workers have had jail time than actual clients, so it doesn't work that way. And yeah, like, so people will try and argue with what you said by saying it doesn't criminalize workers, but it absolutely does. Like they jailed a pregnant woman in Ireland for brothel keeping because she worked with a friend. So yeah, this is just an important thing to drive home, which is like the Nordic model in no country that it's been established in actually decriminalizes the workers, and we are still criminalized. So yeah, like, I mean, ideally this bill would just go away. We don't want it, like nobody wants, or people want it, but yeah, like,
yeah. So I guess moving forward, because all of the sex workers have come together and formed a group, what are, you know, if we can get through this bill and stuff like that and end it, what will you be doing in the future?
Sorry, I didn't.
I said, if you like, so for example, if we get through this bill and we can end it and stuff, because you're in a group now, what will you be campaigning for in the future?
So yeah, full decriminalisation of the sex industry, similar to what New Zealand has.
Yeah.
And, you know, just strengthening union stuff, strengthening workers' rights, and just trying to be, you know, in a similar position to other workers, you know, making sure our work is less precarious, making sure our work is as safe as possible. That's, you know, that's the kind of the goal, really, while also, like I mentioned before, making sure that other people are not forced into the industry.
Yeah. And my lovely, is there anything else you want to tell us?
I don't know. I think I've got everything out. I've rambled a lot.
Oh, bless you. No, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today and letting us know what's been going on. And I'm really, really praying for you all that we can, you know, end this misery for you, because it's, you know, it's unfortunate that this is happening, and it's unfortunate that it's come from the Labour Party as well. It's not right. I feel like we should be engaging with sex workers to find out their experiences. Now let's go over and listen to our brilliant updates from Akuwa. Over to you, Akuwa.
Thank you, Andrea. And that was great listening to Nikita. She's so articulate and clear about what's going on. And it's the whole point. As socialists, as the Labour Party need to actually speak to the people workers in this industry instead of, and I've got a tweet that has been shared that I want to share with you. So if we can have a look at this tweet. So this is what Diane Johnson, who's trying to build this Nordic model into the police bill, actually has to say. And this is the person who doesn't want to talk to sex workers. I just think it's dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. That sort of comments that somebody can bring. Let me just sort of drop it down. And then this is Momentum's response. The evidence shows that criminalizing those who pay for sex only puts sex workers in more danger. Proud to have our name to this important campaign. It's the campaign that we shared earlier, to sort of stop the Nordic model. So I just wanted to start with that and to segue, and we will be putting that out on our social media. It's all very sort of new. This came in today. What else? So there's another couple of things I wanted to highlight, and I wouldn't mind you having a chat about. So there's the stuff that's happening in Roehampton. This event that we wanted to. Why isn't this showing? Sorry, I'm trying to get the actual image to show better, but I'll do it like that. So it's the 5th of the. Do you want to just give me a little bit of background to that?
Yeah, so Roehampton and West Putney are having their first ever community week. So there's going to be projects and you know, actions that people can get involved with between both wards. So Roehampton is one of the biggest estates in London, and you know, there's a lot of deprivation down there, overcrowded housing, and a regeneration that's basically not fit for purpose down there. So it's a good way to get residents out, and it's a good way to engage with the community and to meet new faces. So what we're doing now is currently fundraising to you know, provide resources for the community week. And yeah, we're basically sharing it around, and hopefully we get enough money to fund this thing and make it a good event for the week.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I can't show. Oh, it's Just Giving. So that's the site people need to go to. And they look for Roehampton Community Week. Fantastic. So we've got some other stories really about the backdrop to this in terms of what's going on in that part of the world. I think a rather fantastic journalist we know put this out. So this is looking at fly tipping. Wandsworth Council urged to improve the fly tip of West Putney, Ashburton Estate. Do you want to just give us a little bit of background to this, which paper it's in, that sort of thing?
Oh, mate, it is so grim. So over the course of the pandemic now, a lot of fly tipping's been happening, and we have a lot of private homes where we are, and the landlords are basically coming out, guttering their homes and just leaving all of the furniture outside, and it's just become a joke where it's not being collected. So what I was doing was taking pictures of it and sending it to Councillor Claire Gilbert, who was sending it into the council and complaining about it. It has not improved. It's still happening, and we're still having to report it. It's that bad. The Residents Association that I'm actually a part of now is getting residents to go around, take pictures, and actually send it to the council manager themselves, because it's just ridiculous. And where I live is actually the nicer part. So I don't actually live on this side of the estate, but we've got to walk past it every day. Do you know what I mean? So if we're walking past it and noticing how bad it is, who are the residents, which I found out during the 2019 elections, they weren't happy with it. You know, lifts were broken. I even went on a canvas, mate, and the lift was broken. We have to walk up the stairs. So at the end of the day, like, you know, this council officer needs to get a grip and actually go out there and talk to the residents. And if you notice in the article as well, none of the councillors responded, because they don't do anything in the area anyway. So, you know, this is nothing new. Yeah, there was also issues with the cash point. So we have to pay £1.80 to get our money out, whereas the rich people with £1 million houses are able to go to Sainsbury's and get their money out for free. Like, this is like how we're living in West Putney. You know, we've also had issues with robberies down here, bikes being taken, houses have been robbed. It's all over next door. So if they really were that interested, they would literally go there, because that's where their residents engage, in particular their own voters. So yeah, that's basically what's been going on down here. And I managed to get a petition out. We got 37 signatures so far. I haven't been able to obviously go out and get more signatures, but yeah, it's got into press, and here we are.
Well done. I love to share some of the real live activism that we're involved in, especially you, Andrea. People just think you're the face of the show and the face of Labour Black Socialists, but you're such a busy and hardworking activist on the ground there. So I'm going to flick back over to Labour Black Socialists, and I hope you know me, Twitter. There was some stuff that I wanted to share. I think we did a screenshot of this before. So this is just us, you know, again, being activists on the ground. But what did I want to show? That isn't the one I was wanting to show. There was like, so this is a really important event that's coming up, Black Maternal Health, and the public meeting there. I know. I think I should close this. Yes, that gives me much more access. But what I wanted to share, so that's obviously us promoting the No to the Nordic Model that Nikita was talking about. And we're really sort of pushing that, and we have agreed to support and get behind that. There's then, so we had Howard Beckett on the show last week, and this week in our meeting, as part of our looking at a campaign for an actively anti-racist Labour Party, we look broader than that. We also believe, like Howard does, that our role is not just within the political sphere, but the social sphere and the community sphere as well. So we endorsed Howard Beckett. We took a vote, and he got a clear, well, he was unanimous except for 3 abstentions. And he retweeted that, which was lovely. So did Jenny Formby, and I don't know why, but that just gave me a really warm, fuzzy feeling. So thank you, Jenny, for retweeting that, and for, you know, what she says, read our article, and I would really do that. So you can click through and find the article that we put out, our statement in support. And she says it's very persuasive, and that we did. You know, we took our time. We really researched into his background. Obviously, we have a relationship with him. He's been very supportive of Labour Black Socialists and the campaign for an actively anti-racist Labour Party. We see his activeness, and that's what's really important. That's what we're looking for candidates, whether it's within the Labour Party or anywhere that we can support. So I thought I wanted to share that with you. Let's go to our Instagram and see what else. So yeah, it's sort of the same. It's reflecting the same issues. We're staying active, we're staying busy. We passed a series of motions, and we'll probably bring them up next week. All right, Andrea, thank you. I'm going to stop sharing. Let's see if that's possible. And oh no! Well, I've been abandoned. I don't usually close the show. Here she is. Good.
So yeah, no. Thank you, Akua, for the update, and we will be back next week. Can I also give a shout out to Steve Walker from Squawkbox, and encourage all of you to donate to Squawkbox, because we need legit media, and he is a legit guy. So please donate to Squawkbox, and we will see you next week. See you later.